As you can see, I'm a big fan of cartoons. I love drawings, I love animation, I love a lot of stuff that is related to art. I have a little bit of a weak spot on things that are technically cute, I must say. So, there are some exceptions, I gotta say. There are some exceptions to cute stuff that I disagree. Mostly when the cute stuff are really too sugary for my taste. Kind of like Care Bears and some Hasbro projects that I'm not gonna mention. But, um, but anime also has this fine line of attracting a lot of people with their cute products. And one of those companies is none other than Sanrio. Sanrio is technically the company that is responsible for creating the lineup of Hello Kitty and other related products like Onegai My Melody, Pochaco I think is one of them. Uh, some of those names you might find recognizable. And although I do know that Sanrio made other products that are not mentioned in the States or in America for better words, like let's say for example Jewel Pet or that was really or something. That's something about these fairies that I don't care so much. And I gotta admit that I did. I have a soft spot of some of these characters. At a certain stage, I grew up with Hello Kitty. I did saw a little bit of Onegai Melody, and I can't deny that I have a guilty pleasure on Jewel Pet. But I think I want to make a series out of Jewel Pet in the future. But I'll not get into that because the main subject of this episode that I'm gonna do is that I want to talk about the Sanrio character that is taken an attention to many people to the point that it becomes very famous. I'm talking none other than Aggressive Retsuko, or Aggretsuko for short. Funny story, while looking for animes to watch, I kind of noticed that cute little red panda with an office clerking suit, and I was surprised that it came from Sanrio. And then I gave it when I watch it, man, I got hooked. Okay, I'm getting carried on. You might be probably wondering what's Aggretsuko or Aggressive Retsuko for the people who doesn't know. Well, 2 or 3 years ago, a miniseries came. I think it was on the internet or a TV series about this little red panda who is an office girl who works on an accounting office, and she always has to endure shit from those nasty bosses, weird co-workers, her social life, her crazy interaction with other people, and she's technically a little bit of a doormat. But little that they know is that all those frustrations are always bottled up for her, and every time she wants to take it off, she just goes to a special karaoke where she begins to sing in the death metal song. I mean, and that's when the cutesy tone kind of changes and turns apparently into this Kiss concert. And you see her in this really raging persona of her screaming out her frustration of what she was enduring. But she does it like, yeah, and it's brilliant, I gotta say. All of these are only for a duration of 1 minute. And it was simple enough. And I got hooked along with the other people who began to love this character, mostly because of how they understand her frustrations, her related troubles. all of it. I I did a part-time job at an office, and I kind of understand those frustrations for the most part. Let's say, or half. But anyway, another reason I want to talk about this episode is that that series only lasted 100 episodes. It ended kind of a little bit of March, but don't be sad. I actually did it for a good reason. The reason is because Aggressive Retsuko decided to move to the Netflix world. So, as for I think it's a week ago, the Netflix series finally appeared. The Retsuko series is gonna be. It was 10 episodes long, and all of these episodes, instead of lasting 1 minute, they only last 15 minutes. So I finally gave myself the time to watch all these episodes, and it's time for me to talk about my opinion and my experience of every single episode. So let's take this as a episodic review of the Aggressive Retsuko Netflix series. So let's get started. If you thought that missing out all those 100 episode miniseries series is a big problem, well, you're in luck because the series actually is kind of like a soft reboot of the whole Aggressive Retsuko series. And the first episode is technically just a review of the whole series. It tells you the basic of our main character, Retsuko. She is this little red panda who graduates from high school, and she thinks that life is gonna be wonderful at that point. But unfortunately, reality happens that she's 25 years old. She's stuck on a dead-end job being an accountant office girl, in which she has to endure how can I say, all the shit that is happening in her office, in which, even though it's kind of like a caricature of the office how can I say, the office ambience that is happening in Japan, sometimes all these caricaturizations kind of make you feel bad for the character in a way that she has to endure how can I say, the abuse of her literal chauvinistic pig of a boss who always berates her even though she's doing her best on her job. She has to endure also his yes man who is always kissing his feet. Her only way to keep her sane, at least, is it has her co-worker that she hangs out with. One of them is Feneko, I think it was called. Yes, Feneko, who is this fennec fox with a kind of deadpan, kind of like this deadpan voice, but she's kind of a little bit of a voice of reason or her mind on the ground. And also, there's also this guy who is a hyena named Haida, who, well, at this point, he's kind of like a good friend to her. But I'll get to that later about this guy. She also sees this deer, Tsunada, who is kind of like this flirty deer who always butters up to the boss so she can get away with everything. She's kind of like Retsuko's frenemy and always, how can I say, always showing bragging her life, well, and social media and all this stuff. And there's also this hippopotamus that I forgot the name, that she's a total gossip with a really, really happy-go-lucky smile. And even in the original series, I hated that character. I totally hate that hippo. But the main thing is that the first episode is just telling you this story, the story of Retsuko, her surroundings, and of course her big secret. that all her frustrations, she goes to her karaoke and she sings about it in death metal. And that's it. That's just the first episode. After an introduction episode, the second episode is actually when things begins to start on a semblance of a story, at least, or maybe a little bit kind of like a soap opera. In this episode, Retsuko meets up with a friend from high school named Puko, who is this free-spirited cat who apparently she lived in the United States for a while, and then she came to Japan, and they begin to talk, and well, Puko kind of begins to mention about Retsuko's personality, that she's hardworking, she's taking crap from all the abuse that she's having, like I say, from director Ton, that chauvinistic pig. And also there's also another boss who is this old snake that is literally a snake, I say, that in which she always berates her because, well, I don't know, it's because she's young or something like that. But the thing is that the episode mostly kind of criticizes, as I say, is Retsuko's pushover personality. And during the even in the last episode, we see Retsuko kind of trying to find a way out of that job. She's having a little bit of jealousy tendencies of Puko, who at the moment she doesn't have a job. She's still living the life as a free-spirited character, and that is when Puko begins to express that she is wanting to open her own business of imported goods, and she tells Retsuko that she wants her part of the team because she's good at accounting and all this stuff. And in a way, Retsuko feels like, oh my god, I'm finally gonna get a dream job that I might get out of this stressful job that I'm having. And that's pretty much the episode, which you can see Retsuko and Puko being kind of like a contrast on each other. A hardworking character against a character who is free-spirited, and and it doesn't explore the circumstances of Puko and all this stuff, and it doesn't go mean-spirited, I gotta admit, but you know what? You kind of feel that you root for Retsuko and Puko, because in a way, if you grew up with the other series, you kind of understand the things that she's going through. But let me tell you, more of the story comes up in the next episode. The third episode is kind of like remind us that when you expect something, you should not always get it for granted all the time. And this is the hard lesson that Retsuko has in this one. And in this one, we start out with Retsuko still daydreaming that, oh, my friend is gonna open this shop. I'm finally gonna get out of that lousy job. I can't wait. She even feels like she wants to practice on giving her resignation note to the bosses and all that. She's showing her face, but she kind of also wants to not let other people know in advance that she is planning on quitting. Even though she also has the problem of that stupid hippopotamus trying to gossip everything. Although it also comes up probably one of the funniest moments of the series that I actually gave out kind of like a laugh out of it. What happened is that Retsuko lies to that stupid hippopotamus by telling her that, yeah, I was feeling constipated. And because that stupid hippopotamus can't keep her mouth shut, the rumor spread, but to the point that, the rumors are always go downhill when you hear them. It has the telephone effect. But what happens is that Haida just runs to her and say, Retsuko, I heard that you were pregnant. What? That was actually one part of why this moment is funny. The other part that got me laughing is that twice in the episode, every time when Retsuko begins to hear all the bullshit rumors that she's been hearing, Feneko gives out one of the cutest laughs you could ever imagine. It's kind of like this deadpan. It was cute. It was kind of like that laugh Peter Griffin from Family Guy did, but make it female and cuter. You know, Peter Griffin laughs like, but Feneko is like, that was actually really that is something that I love from this episode. But continuing on, remember that I say that the episode warns you about expectations? Well, the thing is this. Retsuko is she finally begins to take a stand to one of those bosses when she's abused her with the words and all this stuff. And she's still daydreaming of, being happy with another job and all this stuff. But after wanting to talk about that business with Puko says that, yeah, but I wanted to make this job online. It was an online job. So there's not gonna be exactly a physical job. And also, I'm still kind of not ready for something that big. And this shatters Retsuko. Because she had these high expectations, but she got so forward to it that they didn't measure that building a business is not that easy. And, well, there is this interesting conversation of Puko and Retsuko, in which also mentions the sad reality that Retsuko's pushover kind, hardworking job is kind of like, how can I say, being her to work and accounting and all this stuff is the reason why people live like Puko also. So it's kind of like a little bit of an equivalent exchange. Retsuko works so Puka can live freely. And while it is sad and heartbreaking, Retsuko kind of take it well. I admit that this is also one of the positive aspects of Retsuko, in which she, despite that she tries hard, she tries to put a good face on all the problems that she has. But the episode ends bad because the director Tan kind of begins to realize all the things that Retsuko was doing. Like, for example, a happy face on a copy machine. Kind of like the spreading rumors also that she is probably wanting to quit. And it doesn't help that there is also an interview that happened at the beginning of the episode where Retsuko was being interviewed on TV. And even though her face was blurred, it was pretty obvious that it was her, and the boss sees it. So as punishment, really unrealistic. How can I say? Let's say sad punishment. Retsuko is demoted as a short timer. So the dream job that Retsuko wanted to be part on didn't work out, and unfortunately now Retsuko is working with little pay now that she's a short timer. And well, poor Retsuko is actually trying to find another way out of that job, and she begins to think that in order to get out of the job, if she can't find a new job, she might going to need to get married and find a husband to support her so she can be a full-time housewife. Man, and yeah, Retsuko came out to that conclusion. And in a way, you do kind. It doesn't matter the way you want Retsuko out of this way, because you see the poor girl, how she has to struggle all these things, and to the point that now that she became a short timer, I think her salary was cut down, and she has to to deal with it by having lunch alone by eating breadcrumbs with mayonnaise. That's kind of sad. And I gotta also, I also, this episode begins to develop some other stuff. Like, for example, in this episode, it becomes a little bit more evident that Haida he has a crush on Retsuko. So much that Feneko said really becomes observant and tells him that, you like him. Okay, I'm not gonna tell but I might support you, but something like that. That's what I get. Another focus that this episode has is on the beginning of the episode. The beginning of the episode actually starts out with a wedding. Retsuko went to a wedding of a friend. An interspecies relationship between a mouse and a cat. Okay, that sounds weird for you guys, but I don't care for interspecies relationship. Whatever happens, happens. But the funny thing that happens in the episode is that Retsuko gave the bride as a wedding gift 30,000 yen, and you should see how hard it was for her to let go the money. that was actually hilarious. And remember the scene that I talked to you about Retsuko eating alone in the closet with breadcrumbs with mayonnaise? Well, at that point later she receives a call from one of her friends saying that Retsuko, the couple that got married, got divorced. Want a divorce. They got divorced? What? It didn't last long. And Retsuko is not worried about the couple splitting up. Her worry is that the 30,000 yen was wasted. It's funny for me because there were times that I asked my family about that question, about the problems of weddings. That, let me tell you, weddings are really, really expensive. And if a relationship doesn't work, that is a waste of money. So, I'm glad that they managed to address that. So after Retsuko setting herself the goal that she wants to get married with a guy with a good salary, and well, dumping Haida because he doesn't feel fit for the job or the role that she just wants to see in a man, she decides to improve her figure. This is why she reluctantly but do so. She gets into a yoga class run by this really beefy, I think it's a camel or a llama, that the only word that he just say is protein! But honestly, the yoga class is actually the start of a new social link for Retsuko. She meets the superior secretaries from the office, which is a gorilla named Miss Gory, and I think she's an eagle called Miss Washimi. This character also appear in the original series, and they also appear in the previous episode. But it's kind of like the kind of workers that the characters admire. They see them as high superior secretaries with style, with grace, always showing strength in front of the others. But there were other moments, but when nobody sees them, you can see them that taking a break from all that facade that they're doing because they don't want to show their weaknesses. but not in a bad way. But during that yoga class, Retsuko finally meet these two characters. Actually, in front of them. And let me tell you that at that moment, these two characters are probably the friends that Retsuko actually meet at this point. Oh yeah, about that couple, they got together at the end. The fifth episode it serves as building blocks of the relationship for Retsuko and his newfound friendship with Miss Gori and Miss Washimi, in which they meet up at that yoga class and they do the usual. They're training hard, and they even gossip about the camel instructor that always screams protein, and they notice that the guy generally work hard, but he seems to is having it easy because most of the job is done by the flamingo assistants. And so they gossip about it, and well, in order to build a relationship between these three characters, Miss Washimi and Miss Gori, they even invite Retsuko for dinner. But Retsuko, because she's a little bit embarrassed that she doesn't have the same position as these other characters, she politely declines. And well, that's not look good on the eyes of the instructor who you see him watch her from the window like he's like some kind of villain, let's say. So then the rest of the episode is still Retsuko enduring these that whole crap with the with the co-worker, the bosses, and she's also feeling a little bit of the muscle strain because of the the exercising. But at the same time, she is feeling guilty of refusing the invitation of two kind individuals. And also at the same time, Miss Washimi and Miss Gori are kind of wondering how they can build up their relationship with her. And apparently, the solution doesn't come exactly from heaven. Apparently, this camel's llama instructor, he apparently goes Ace Ventura by meditating, going, bring me a solution. Yeah, he apparently reaches enlightenment until he finally gets the answer. And so at the end, he in the next class, he gives Miss Gori and Miss Washimi a number. And well, after class, at least Retsuko apologizes for declining the invitation, and the other two are like, you know what? That's okay. Hey, you know what? Let's hang around. Let's go do something else. Doesn't necessarily have to be dinner. They're technically, and at the same time, they are trying to figure out what the number of the instructor mean. And what happened is that by some kind of twist of fate, they are lead to the karaoke place that Retsuko likes to sing. And yeah, they decided, Miss Gori and Miss Washimi decided they want to sing there, but poor Retsuko, she is freaking out because that's technically her secret spot. But there's no turning back. She can't decline again. And so they finally get the room, and Retsuko is so hesitant to put her favorite track in order to pent out her bottle frustrations. You know, using the death metal music. And guess what? The number that the number that the llama gave to Miss Washimi and Miss Gory is actually the number of the track of the karaoke. So they put the track. There is the death metal, and and yeah, finally Retsuko decided, fuck it, just sing it. And while she begins to sing in death metal, you see the other two characters dancing. Dancing. That is... And so, in a way, it is a relief that Retsuko finally found someone who she can trust her secrets. And let me tell you, Miss Gory and Miss Washimi are really true friends. Even in the original series, I like these characters. And that's kind of proof that sometimes, even in the sickest of jobs, probably there's something that you could cherish. I'll say, and probably Retsuko will need all the help she can need. I gotta admit that even in the original series, Miss Washimi is probably one of my favorite characters of the series. Because, man, that... Even in the original series and of all these characters, she's kind of like the most level-headed, the most professional, and the most calm, clear-headed, and most polite of all the characters. Kind of like the perfect girl. But she's not just perfect. At the beginning of the episode shows that she's totally badass. She was awesome in that how this episode starts. I mean, we see that how she deal with with the inept president, who is an elephant for some reason. She hears him. How can I say that he spent some of the company's budget in order to make some kind of ridiculous plan of using bamboo ramen, creating bamboo ramen or something like that. Something ridiculous that involved bamboo and ramen. And he created a model out of it with that budget. And Miss Washimi, what she did, it just breaks that model in front of him with a big kick, I gotta admit. She just stepped on it like it was nothing. And then she just showed him I think it was the paper that showed how much money it was spent for his hobby instead of the payment of the office workers. And she threatened them that this is gonna be bad for the company if it lets it out and all this stuff, and she almost breaks even the money out of it. I was thinking it was the money or the slip, but man, that this elephant got what he deserved. That was awesome. But you know what? The story is not about Miss Washimi. The story is about Retsuko. It continues on that Retsuko does tell that yeah, she's going to yoga class in order to improve her chances to get married to someone. And while Miss Gory is also on the bandwagon that she's also looking for a boyfriend, Miss Washimi actually plays out the realistic card, but very openly. She just kind of says that, yeah, but you know that getting married is not exactly happily ever after. Getting married also, it means another battle you have to ensue. You have to deal with things that are aside, the children, the budget of the house, and all this stuff. But I'm glad that she's open, saying that, hey, it's okay to dream. It's just kind of like your first step. It's your first step. So they begin to give her some tips on how she can improve her relationship with the boss and all this stuff, and the co-workers. And well, Retsuko, during her working time, she gets the bad idea of asking tips from Tsunada, that buttering deer, and because she because the boss doesn't yell at her or something like that. And because she's a frenemy, she just give her some good tips, but not exactly how she should put it up. So Nana tells Retsuko that in order to be on the good side of the boss, you have to tell him, "Hey, you're good. You did well and all this stuff." But unfortunately, she didn't tell him that the timing of it because Director Tan was doing his usual chauvinistic golf practice, and his hips are hurting, and Retsuko say that nice swing. He's like, you think that this is good and all this stuff, you short timer? I gotta say, if this pig is not on a list of the top 10 best or worst people in the world, goddamn, what society will be living on? So yeah, it makes everything worse. And when Retsuko tells to his friends, Miss Washimi and Miss Gori, I like the idea that they say that, well, if things doesn't work, you have to be a little bit more foxy. You have to go with scheming, which is technically it's kind of like saying that you have to. Sometimes you have to play the bad guy sometimes if you want to be successful. So what happened is that Miss Washimi uses her position to tell the president about one of the bosses, Director Tan, that he's using power harassment on poor Retsuko. And well, Miss Washimi also uses that bill that from the beginning of the episode to tell the president that to give Director Tan a warning about it. So it really helped out on that scheming. We see how the plan went along, and you think that the Director Tan got what he deserved. Well, more or less, because the final scene is that, yeah, he gets the warning that he deserves. But Director Tan? Oh, jeez. You know what happens in the next, that episode? It starts out with him getting ready to work. And then he begins to act creepily nice. He begins to act with this kind of insincere smile on his face that freaks everyone out. Everyone is creeped out by him. You see on his face that he just kind of forcing it out. Because at the same time, Director Tan is totally suspecting Retsuko that she's the one to tattle him on the boss and all this stuff. But man, everyone is freaked out by his sudden change of personality. And I don't understand why Retsuko feels that she has to do something or anything, because I'd rather have this guy suffer for his bullshit than going to how can I say, what was it called, the way that he was, let's say. So everyone's freaked out. Retsuko still kind of feels that she needs to improve her relationship with the boss. Retsuko, you should not deal with guys like him. But anyway, the thing is that she talks to Miss Gori and Miss Washimi, and they suggest that in order that it is to improve the relationship to your boss, you have to, well, be a little bit more social to the guy. So this is why they decided to she decides to take opportunity of the office party that they're gonna do. You know that usually in your job they decide to make a reunion on somewhere. They go to eat, drink, whatever, and socialize. So Retsuko and his friends sign up to this office party, and Retsuko decides to take this as an advantage to socialize with director Tan, the chauvinist pig, who, as you can see, he's still acting like an asshole and having this really fake smile on his face. And at first, we thought that it might kind of work out, because even director Tom begins to admit that he was also a little bit like Retsuko, in which he has hope and dreams, but they were shattered because of reality and the pressure of the job and all that. But Retsuko makes the mistake of slipping that she is the one that made the connection with the president in order to tell on him. So that director Tan, he just begins, aha! So you were the one entitled to the president. Oh, I retract what I said. You're such an awful, awful girl, and I'm gonna sink you lower and all this stuff. And what an opportunity came out that a karaoke machine was, how can I say, rented for the occasion. And so that the director Tan, being the chauvinist pig that he is, he begins to make this awful rap, belittling Retsuko, telling her how miserable she is and all this stuff. But poor Retsuko, she feels like she is defeated. That is until she finally gets the courage to use the same number that she uses on the karaoke that she does. And she picks up the microphone and she goes into her death metal persona, always telling him all her frustration, calling him shitty boss. That was amazing. That was one of the great moments. And the episode kind of ends with Retsuko just standing and the director just laying on the floor and saying that you can't escape your fate. You and I are kind of like the same. He begins to threat her. But I don't care. I don't care. These kind of people really deserve what all the rants that Retsuko said. And man, I just hope that this kind of puts some comeuppance in the next episode. That's what I was beginning to think. So, does Retsuko's working conditions improve after that incident? No, it didn't. Because everybody was so drunk and hungover to remember everything, except Retsuko for some reason. So we kind of jump into the next storyline, let's say. In this storyline, we still have Retsuko looking for at least a soulmate. That is until she meets another worker that is on the, I think it's on the sales department of the office. It's another red panda, but with a more lighter coloring. It's this guy who is known as the out of pocket prince. His name is Retsuko. He also appears in the original series, but in a very, very few episodes. The thing about this guy is that they notice that this guy is always kind of, how can I say, on the moon. He's always staring like this. And Retsuko gets his attention to this guy. He finds it cute for some reason. And despite that, everyone, when they look at him, is like, dude, you're being so distracted. You're so how can I say, bland. Bland. This is why he gets this, apparently this nickname, Out of Pocket Prince, because this guy he always looks like he's on the moon. To the point that there is also this scene that is a little bit of a reenactment from one of the original episodes, in which Retsuko finds this Retsuko guy on the train. He's always spacing out, and even though they have the they managed to stop in the same station to get to work. The guy was so daydreaming that he just forgets to get off the subway. That's how distracted this guy is. But well, the episode it involves that Sonata. I kind of always mix up her name. She decides to make a mix-up in order to find possible boyfriend girlfriend, kind of like a meetup between girls and boy, let's say. So she hires a Fanico and Retsuko and three other guys at random to have this mixer meetup in order to talk, get along, and probably have a relationship out of it. And the time finally came. They are in a restaurant, and much to Retsuko's surprise, one of the guys who was invited is none other than Retsuko. And both are sitting in front of each other. And technically, well, everything is going fine. Retsuko really kind of finds the guy, well, cute, despite the other is like, this guy, is he kind of shy or something like that? And it shows that, yeah, Retsuko is kind of like this guy who, he kind of lives in his own world. It's hard to describe this guy. He's just staying like this, and, well, he's also kind of shy. There's also this funny moment in which he apparently finally gonna speak. But he speaks so low that nothing is coming out of his mouth. So in order to communicate with Retsuko, they have to chat on their smartphones. And apparently, at least Retsuko finds this still cute. And she finds out that the guy is not very sociable also, and not very out of his way. He prefers coffee instead of beer. Retsuko gets her drunken state by drinking too much beer, and she gets a nice gesture with Sasuke giving her a nap tissue. And this is when Retsuko begins to finally fall in love with the guy, to the point that that blank stare that Sasuke always has, she sees him like this with those shining eyes that can always glittering. And so in a way, let's say that this episode finally Retsuko finds her soulmate. I've been hearing a lot of people saying that love is blind, and when someone falls in love, they see the world very differently. And when I mean that, and this episode, it kind of proves of that, but it also shows that there is a little bit of a danger about it. But that I will keep it for the next episode, because this episode is mostly kind of a phase that Retsuko is going. She is totally in love with Sasuke to the point that in the world around her, she begins to see everything in pink. Oh, I kind of forgot to mention that the last episode had a funny fourth wall joke in which one of the co-workers kind of said, "Hey Retsuko, you're so cute. You look like a Sanrio character." Honestly, I think that's what Retsuko began to see in her own eyes now that she's in love with Sasuke. And, well, she just begins to act nice with him to the point that she even brings him coffee and with notes to give him his attention. But Sasuke is always on the moon. Apparently, that he's oblivious to all these coffee and all this stuff. And the funny thing about this episode is that this cat friend of his, he's like, hey, you got a girl? Huh? What? What do you mean what? What? Oh, you noticed those coffees? Huh? I didn't notice. There is a banter between these two characters that I love about how oblivious this guy is to the point that you just want to punch him. But still, Retsuko is totally looking everything in pink, sunshine, and not even the yellings, the crap from the bosses and some other friends is affecting her. And finally came the moment in which finally Retsuko's friend managed to convince him that he has to take the opportunity and begin to date her. So finally, Retsuko has a date with Retsuko. And one of the biggest difference about this episode with the other is that every single episode has at least one time in which Retsuko goes in her death metal persona and she begins to scream her frustrations out of it. But this one, instead of a death metal music, we begin to hear a romantic Disney music. And it's all about Retsuko being happy with the guy that she is in love with. And then almost at the end of the episode, things are beginning to see a little bit grim, let's say, because during the date, Retsuko was wearing those kind of shoes that has straps on. But because they walk long distances and for a long time in apparently Disneyland, her ankles begin to hurt to the point that it begins to bleed. And of course, Retsuko, being the oblivious guy that he is, he doesn't pay attention, and he just say that, do you need, I want to see the fireworks. Yeah, what, do you need to rest? No, I don't. Apparently because Retsuko didn't want to look bad in front of the guy. And while watching the fireworks, it was night and she's getting the shivers of the cold. And Retsuko is like, hey, don't you think it's cold? Yeah, I think it's cold. He doesn't even give her a jacket or something like that. So, but still, Retsuko doesn't complain. She's just so enamored that she wants everything to go perfectly. But looking at the condition of her ankles and shivering on a cold weather, that probably means that there is a little bit of a toxicity on that relationship. Now, the final episode of this Netflix series is technically showing the consequences of blind love, let's say. So, as you can see, Retsuko trying too hard to build a perfect relationship with Sasuke despite his fault of being very oblivious and bland, is taking also a little bit of a toll on her to the point that her ankles still bleed. She's being stressed out by the work ethics, and always keeping her smile on that relationship, acting like everything is perfect. And because of all the effort that she's doing, she's even beginning to lose weight. And it's not because of the yoga; it's because of her stress. And the bad thing is that still Retsuko is not paying attention or doesn't look at the problems of that Retsuko is having, even if it's on plain sight. Much to the how can I say, anger and jealousy of Haida. remember that I said that one of Retsuko's co-workers, Haida, this hyena, he has a crush on her. Well, during the whole series, it has been showing this guy trying too hard on building a relationship with her, and honestly, I kind of, even though I kind of see that Retsuko and Retsuko are kind of cute, I don't mind rooting for Haida because the guy also tries hard, and with him noticing Retsuko's problems, it kind of shows that he genuinely cares for her. And when you see the scene of the guy sulking in a drunken tirade on the street, screaming out his anger of not doing his best for Retsuko, it's kind of, you feel sympathetic for the guy. And as for Retsuko, she still sees everything in roses. And while talking to her friends, even Miss Washimi kind of warned her that love is blind, and in order for our relationship to work out, there must be an understanding. There must be a slight semblance of understanding. She doesn't have to play one side. She must open her eyes. But unfortunately, Retsuko wants to bottle everything. Just because not only she wants to get out of the job, she thinks that Retsuko is her perfect guy. To the point that even to the moments where Retsuko is acting oblivious, but not by mean-spiritedness. It's mostly because of his fault. Retsuko is trying to bottle everything to the point that she even doesn't want her rage to come out. And you know what? Bottling stress is not healthy. And it's not helping on Retsuko's health. But the big moment happens when when apparently there is a shortage on the staff. 3 guys didn't came to work that day. First of all, it was Haida. Remember that I said that he was on a drunken tirade on the streets, drunken? Well, I forgot to mention that it was raining, and while he was slumping on the street, he got pneumonia. Also, the boss snake lady, she didn't come because she couldn't open her jar of treats, apparently, which was a running gag during the whole series. And of course, the hippo lady also didn't come because apparently she was trying to spy someone and she got arrested. Good! And of course, director Tan doesn't trust Retsuko for anything, so he thinks that they're all 4 short-staffed workers, so they have to work overtime on the accountings and all this stuff. But Retsuko is left with the blunt of the whole mess, not having even a job or for herself or something to do. And while during the coffee break, Retsuko tries to improve her relationship with that shitty boss, but she couldn't. Apparently then director Tom begins to complain about, you know what, work is always like that. People always pile up on their mistakes over and over and over, and we have to deal with the broken plates and all that. So apparently this mean-spirited tirade of director Tan, it was kind of the thing that Retsuko kind of needed, because funnily enough, it was in contrast of Retsuko's problem with Retsuko. So Retsuko finally begins to say that I don't want to be that kind of I don't want to be that. Please, give me something to do. And then, okay, just give it your best shot. I'll give you something to do. So they finally give it all they got over time. And Retsuko finally decides to show her true color to Retsuko. She brings Retsuko to her usual karaoke, and she shows her death metal persona of her to show her what she really is. But Retsuko is like, hey, you're not bad. You're not bad. And then at this point, Retsuko finally sees from Retsuko from what he is. The little shining eyes that he has on his face, it disappeared, and now she begins to see the bland guy that he is. So she finally sees for what he is, and probably, I'm not gonna say that they're not good for each other. I'm just saying that apparently this is a relationship that they're not ready for. And still, Retsuko still has a long way to go. And it shows at the end where almost at the end where, how can I say it? I'm not 100% sure if they broke up or anything. Maybe they did broke up, but it showed that also Retsuko has a very bland life, almost like Retsuko. You see him going back to the apartment where the only communication that he has are lots of plants. He has this room full of plants, flowers, everything, and he just talks to them. So he's kind of, let's say that Retsuko is kind of like a pretty lonely, shy guy. And then we have this cute moment of Retsuko and Feneko visiting Haida in the hospital for his pneumonia. And Feneko leaves both alone. And that moment was actually really cute. Haida begins to confess that he wishes he could know Retsuko better. And he was oblivious to know her better during all those years working with her. And so they decide to know each other. And well, while the episode kind of ends a little bit of a positive note of Retsuko saying that life is full of obstacles and one must do what they can with the obstacles with a happy face. It is kind of back to the status quo. And yet, it ends with Retsuko in her death metal persona screaming at director Tan for his bullshit. And then, it's over. That is Aggressive Retsuko Netflix series. I think that it could be season 1. Aggressive Retsuko, or Aggretsuko like you want to call it, is a great series. I absolutely love this series. If this could be considered anime or not, I would probably say that this is one of the best anime of the year. Considering that we got 2 great anime that came out this year. One is, of course, Aggretsuko, and the other one is Devilman Crybaby. And I felt, and I'm glad that I saw both series. You can choose which way you want to start. It doesn't necessarily, again, like I said, it's not necessarily you have to watch all the 100 episodes from the original series. This was a good soft reboot, and I like that they kind of approach it kind of like this story arc mentality, but still keeping it that, yeah, it is a cartoon that satirizes the office conditions of this generation. It makes fun of all these exaggerated personalities of the aggressive, chauvinistic bosses. The bosses who they have a grudge against another one because they're young. The gossip girls that I kind of hate that kind of personalities sometimes. The bland guys, anything, and Retsuko is. We can see why it becomes relatable to many people, and actually I do like her. Many people are really rooting for this character to go through with her life and probably find take a break of all the bullshit that she's enduring. Even though all these bullshit is always, how can I say, excused by saying that you have to endure this thing because you have to survive, you have to pay the rent, it's part of life, and well, it's kind of like being trapped on a hole. And I'm not saying that every single job is kind of like that. I mean, the place where I work wasn't too much like that, and I seen very well preserved office places. I think it's mostly Japan, considering the problems that it has with people dealing with the lung pressure that they have. I get it. I get it. And it is a good thing that we have a character that, and from a surprisingly company that is mostly famous for cute storytelling, all audience things. Okay, I said it back. Because let's say that Sanrio is very well known for cutesy storytelling, but PG or PC or family friendly stuff. And Retsuko is not exactly too much about that. It's still a little bit family friendly, but I'm glad that they do touch some darker subjects and makes the characters a little bit more natural instead of being just fabricated cuteness, which that's the part of the cuteness that I dislike. I dislike cuteness when it's done because they're cute, they're fabricated. I like cute stuff when they have a point or they have a reason to be cute. Or when cuteness it is in contrast to a good story. So overall, Aggretsuko. If you have Netflix, check it out. You can check out the other series too if you want to. And with that, I end up this Netflix talk. I don't know what other series I'm gonna talk about, but we'll see about that. See you next time.